Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to PTE Live. This is AJ calling from London. It is now 10:30 p.m. in London at the moment. I know it's quite late for me, but we are streaming on YouTube, and I'm sure you have different time zones where you are. And I've got quite an interesting day, packed up day for you today, guys. Lots of things have been happening all around the world. So I'm gonna kind of share some screens with you. Actually, yeah, let's share some screens. So the first story we're gonna be talking about is let's go down. Is this guy? Um, this guy has been voted as a new Argentinian president, and he seems like an absolute crazy guy, if you ask me. And if you can see my screen, you can see he's quite anti-racist. You look what he's saying. He says that there's no room for Chinese, and he's pretty much anti-Chinese. This guy, and yeah, it's not good news. Not good news for China at all. And this is the guy. This guy is worse than bloody Zelensky. I mean, look at him. Who the hell is this supposed to be? He's worse than Zelensky. He's another entertainer. And there's some more videos of him. Let me go down. I'll come back to some of these videos later, but I just want to show you this funny guy. Look at this guy waving a Israeli flag. He's the same guy, president for Argentina. See how crazy he is. And look at him now. Look at him jumping up and down. He thinks he's Mourinho or something. Oh my God. Yeah, absolute crazy guy, this guy. Absolute crazy. I'll come back to some of these other videos, but I just wanted to talk to you about him. And I also wanted to talk to you about BRICS as well. So let's share my screens for the BRICS stuff. Oh yeah, here you go. So you guys can see my screen okay. So let's see who else is online. I haven't had a chance to say hello to you guys. So we have Christine Peach, welcome. Cosmo Ray, Taiwan, welcome back, my brother. Scott Johnson, and yeah, and I think that's it. So welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like and share, and let's continue. So this crazy Argentinian guy, there's so many stories I want to tell you about him, seriously. So he's saying that he doesn't want to have anything to do with China, and he basically wants to exit BRICS, exit all Chinese investments in Argentina, and he basically wants to kick out every single Chinese from Argentina, and he wants to implement the dollar. He wants Argentina to have dollar as its official currency, and he basically wants to sell the country, and he wants to give the British Malvinas as well. He wants to give the British Malvinas, that small island that so many Argentinians have fought and died for. He basically wants to give it away to the British. This guy is absolute crazy. I have no idea why Argentinians would vote for this crazy Zelensky style impersonator. And you've seen the way he's like celebrating, and he's acting like a retard. He's a worse entertainer than Zelensky. I mean, some of these images I'm seeing, he's crazy, and the things he's saying is extreme to the to the max. So he wants to implement, first of all, the dollar in Argentina. So all transactions will happen in dollars. This is good news for the dollar, obviously, because more dollar gets distributed in Southern America with Argentina, and also good for Biden because the dollar gets stronger because you have one country who is fully implementing the dollar, and plus trade with Argentina has to be done in dollars as well, so that also increases trade, increases the dollar's value. So all in all, is good for Biden, good for America, good for the dollar. It's bad for Argentina in the long term because once you start implementing the dollar, you are basically a slave for the dollar of the dollar. You are a slave of the United States. All of your foreign policy is going to be dictated by America, by the dollar, your trade, and you are susceptible to the dollar crashing or the US economy crashing. So if the US economy goes into recession and the dollar crashes, then you are in big trouble. So the Americans will basically implement all of their foreign policy in Argentina, and this is really bad news for Argentinians. I have no idea why people voted for this guy. So the second thing this is going to affect is Argentina has said that they're going to stop all trade with China. They're going to kick out all Chinese investments. They will kick out all Chinese. He's been extremely racist, this guy. And yeah, he said no. He's basically saying no to China. And this was his promise before the election. And he's already made the statements more than once in his pre-election, and now he's looking to implement it. He's also a Zionist. He's a proud Zionist. He said he will visit Israel as soon as he becomes president. That's the first country he will visit. Second country will be the United States. So this is an absolute dream for Biden and an absolute dream for all of the neocons running America. They must be absolutely loving it. So you had all of these South American countries moving away from the dollar, de-dollarizing, and now they've got someone who is implementing the dollar, who is anti-Chinese. So it's a match made in heaven for the Americans. So the other thing he said he wanted to do is BRICS. Before I go into the BRICS, I wanted to kind of talk about what investment China has in Argentina. So the investments China has in Argentina is actually quite a lot. China has been buying a lot of agriculture from Argentina over the last few years. They've been buying a lot of soybeans, wheat, barley. China has been diversifying a lot of their agriculture from the United States and from countries like Australia, and diversifying to other friendly countries like South Africa and oops, sorry guys, my laptop's frozen. I don't know if you can hear me. Oh shit. Sorry guys, my laptop was frozen. Just going to share my screen again. There you go. Yep. Apologies for that. So where I was saying, so Argentina has basically been getting a lot of Chinese investments, mainly in agriculture. China has been buying a lot of soybeans, barley, wheat, and they have been diversifying away from America. So they used to buy a lot of soybeans from United States, barley and wheat from United States and Australia. And since like 5 years ago, since Trump made all of these trade wars and stuff, China's been diversifying a lot of its agriculture, and Argentina is one of the countries they've been diversifying too. Argentina's got a huge amount of land, which is good for soybeans and other agricultural products, as China's been heavily buying stuff from Argentina. China has also got a lot of mines in Argentina as well, so they've invested in a lot of mines. And China is also invested in a lot of Argentina's business and infrastructure as well. So as you know, the Belt and Road scheme is implemented in Argentina as well. So there's a lot of infrastructure work going on in Argentina. So China is helping Argentina a lot. So what this guy wants to do is kick out all of the Chinese investments, kick out any Chinese deals like agriculture, kick out on all of these you know infrastructure projects and stuff. So this guy is looking to absolutely destroy Argentina. So the next thing is, I'll come back to BRICS in a bit. I want to talk about the Malvina Island as well. So a lot of you know that the Malvinas is a British colony, and the British basically invaded it during British colonialism era, and they kicked out all of the Argentinas, or you would say genocide, because they basically genocided the whole island, replaced all of the Argentinians with British, and now it's become an island full of British expats and ex-British people, and kicked out all of the Argentinians basically. And there was a time in the 80s when Argentina wanted the island back, and there was a major war between Britain and Argentina at the time. And a lot of people died on both sides, but mainly Argentina. United States at the time was helping Britain. They were helping Britain with a lot of technology and surveillance and weapons, and also they were helping with the navigation and intelligence and stuff like that. So the Americans were helping the British at the time. The British won the war, obviously, and Argentinians have never forgotten about that war. So this guy who's come into power, he said that he loves Margaret Thatcher. That was his own words. He said he loves Margaret Thatcher. And Margaret Thatcher is the lady who started the war against Argentinians and killed a lot of Argentinians. So this guy is already betraying the Argentinian, you know, generations that fought the war against the British and fought for this island. And China has been helping, Argentina basically claim sovereignty over the island. China has gone to the UN and said that the island is Argentinians. They are pushing. China is helping Argentinians finding a diplomatic solution for this island, and China has been very, very vocal in trying to help Argentinians get that island back. But this guy who's come into power, he's not only stabbing China in the back, who's trying to help Argentina, but he's also actively saying that he loves Margaret Thatcher. You cannot make this up. I mean, this is like a comedy sketch show. Seriously, I've never. You would never think that geopolitics would be such a comedy. This is like watching the Benny Hill show. Like, unfortunately, it's not funny. It's actually happening for real. It's dead serious. And I feel sorry for the Argentinians. And how the hell did this guy come into power? I have no idea. I have no idea. So number 4, the next thing I want to talk about is the BRICS. And you can see from this map here, and Argentina would have made a very good addition to the BRICS Plus. And the BRICS Plus nations, it's still in an invite-only mode at the moment. But this guy who's come into power, he said that Argentina will not join BRICS. He said that during his, elections and stuff. So he will probably pull out. This leaves Saudi Arabia, UAE, Ethiopia, Egypt, Iran joining the bloc, and Argentina will probably pull out. So this is bad news for Argentina, because you can see how Argentinians have been really suffering over the years, right? They've had oh, hang on a second, guys. Apologies. Oh, I hate this. Apologies, guys. I need to get a new laptop. Keeps freezing on me. Okay, got it. So where was I now? So you can see that Argentina has been really suffering with this economy over the last few years, and they've not been doing well. The inflation has been going crazy over the last few years, and it's not because of China. It's not because of the BRICS. I mean, China is trying to help Argentina. They're trying to buy, agricultural goods for them, trying to help the infrastructure. Joining BRICS would have helped. But Argentina being like this, being the problem with this economy is all because of United States, right? It's all because of the dollar. It's all because of the IMF loans that Argentina has been getting. It's all because, you know, America has been absolutely squeezing Argentina for years, absolutely squeezing it for years, kept it poor. Because Argentina, at one point in South America, was the jewel in South America, was one of the richest countries in South America. But United States has been keeping Argentina very poor, and they've also obviously also got a huge drugs problem as well. So there's a lot of problems in Argentina, and this is mainly down to the United States meddling with Argentina's affairs. And Argentina, America has been keeping all the countries in South America poor because they do not want an immediate superpower right next to them. So they keep these South American countries in check, keep them poor, and if you can keep them poor, you can keep them controlled. So that's what America has been doing. So the Argentinians have been suffering from really high inflation over the years, and this is not good. And this is probably why they voted for this guy, but they don't understand that this guy does not have the answers. This guy will make things a million times worse, and he's already making things a million times worse. And going out of the BRICS is a big mistake because what Argentina needs to do is de-dollarize, not dollarize all over again. Because the reason they are in this position is because they are heavily dollarized. And because they've dollarized, their own currency has become very weak. And because their own currency has become very weak, it's caused huge hyperinflation in the country. And it's because of the strong dollar. And it's become like this. It's not because of any other reasons. And And yeah, they were going along the right track, de-dollarizing, going along with BRICS, and they were doing the right things. And now it's all been destroyed, and I just don't understand why the Argentinians would vote for this guy. It does sound to me like there's some sort of maybe dirty tricks going on. Maybe there was some sort of fiddling with the vote numbers. I'm not sure. I've not spoken to any Argentinians. If any Argentinians are on the chat and want to kind of speak to me, I'm happy to listen. But it's crazy how Argentinians will get rid of so many years of hard work to de-dollarize, to get the countries back on track, not to rely on United States. And now they're going all the way back full circle, back to the United States, where United States can keep them as a, BITCH, keep them controlled, keep them poor. Just doesn't make any sense. So, so yeah, it's absolutely crazy, guys. I wanted to talk a bit more about BRICS, and I think one of the other questions people were asking is what the hell is Ethiopia doing in the BRICS? Well, first of all, if you look at the green countries, you have Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. And if you notice where they are on the map, right, they are all around the Middle East, and they're all covering you have the Strait of Hormuz, which is next to Saudi Arabia and Iran, and you have the massive Ethiopian country, which is near the Horn of Africa, which is which is Sudan and stuff like that. But if you look at where Ethiopia is on the map, they are basically covering that area. And I wouldn't be surprised in the future where more BRICS countries join, which completely control these two sea lanes. So you have the sea lane coming from Egypt, So Egypt also has been invited as well. So you have the sea lane coming through the Suez Canal, and then you have the northern side, which is coming from Iraq, Kuwait, UAE, Iran, Saudi Arabia. And in the future, you might have Pakistan joining, which is going to complete this complete circle, which is going to completely block out the Strait of Hormuz, controlled by the BRICS countries. And in the future, you might have more African countries joining, like Sudan, and all of these some of these Central African countries, and they will completely block out the southern route from the Suez Canal all the way to the Indian Ocean and beyond. So you can see what they are trying to do with BRICS. They are completely trying to control the oil and gas, and this is why Ethiopia has joined the BRICS, and it all makes sense. So when you try and understand, it's all because of oil, it's all because of gas. They're trying to secure the oil lanes and gas lanes. Argentina, losing Argentina is not really a big deal, right? So if Argentina wants to go, this major plan of blocking these sea lanes with BRICS countries is still going to go ahead. And Argentina has, it shot itself in the foot, really. And Argentina is not going to be a major hit to the BRICS countries, because the BRICS countries is all about, well, you can see what they're trying to do with the BRICS. They're going to have their own currency in the future. They're going to have a gold standard. They're going to have, um, currency based on commodities like oil, gas, rare earth minerals, gold, and all sorts of things. They want to control the two sea lanes coming out of Middle Eastern countries. And they want to control the world by controlling these two pathways. And they are completely going to be surrounded by BRICS countries. And that's the plan, basically. So you already have Brazil and South Africa. And people are saying, why is Brazil and South Africa there if that's the plan? Well, at the end of the day, South Africa is still an important country. You can see where South Africa is on the map. Geographically, it's a very important country. If you're in South Africa, you got access to the Atlantic Sea, the Pacific Sea, and the Arctic as well. You're the closest country to the Arctic as well. So South Africa is a very, very important country for the future. And the reason Brazil is there, because Brazil is the richest South American country. And look at the size of Brazil. And Brazil has got a lot of natural, I would say, natural resources. They have lots of agriculture, huge amounts of agriculture stuff they sell to China. So Brazil is a very important country, up and coming. Same with China, India, Russia, and you got some superpowers there. And that's the whole point, And if it's basically, it's going to run 2/3 of the world's economy once all these countries come together, and 2/3 of the world's trade is going to come through BRICS, which is a huge amount of trade. So losing Argentina is not really a big loss for the BRICS. It's actually a big loss for Argentina. So that's what I wanted to kind of say, because in the future, there are more important South American countries like Nicaragua, for example. So those of you who don't know about Nicaragua, they are building a new canal, which is going to rival the Panama Canal. And they are building that now, a Nicaragua canal. And this canal is going to be an alternative to the Panama Canal. And the reason they need an alternative to the Panama Canal is because Panama Canal is controlled by the United States. And also, Panama Canal is having huge issues at the moment. They are running out of water. So a lot of the ships are stuck in the canal at the moment, and there is a huge wait. A lot of money needs to go into Panama Canal to reinvest into the canal. Panama doesn't have that money, and United States won't pay that money. So Panama Canal is a bit stuck at the moment. But this Nicaragua canal, which is being built with Chinese help, is going to be a massive game changer. And once this Nicaragua canal is built, and I believe in the future you might have Nicaragua joining, you might have Venezuela joining, because Venezuela's got huge amounts of gas and oil. So there are other more important countries in South America who can join BRICS in the future. So, any questions, guys? Sorry, I'm just rambling on. So don't forget, if you got any questions for me, put Q in. Put Q in front of your questions, and I'll happily answer it for you. So let's see if any kind of pop out. So Art says Argentina is not in BRICS yet. Yeah, I've already explained that. I've already said that Argentina is only on an invite stage at the moment, and they will probably not join full term. But end of the day, they are part of the special invite group, and I was just saying that losing Argentina is not the end of the world for BRICS. It's actually it might be better in the long term. It's Argentina that's going to lose, not BRICS that will lose. Taiwan says Italy was part of the BRI. Correct. Italy has been very, very naughty when it comes to the BRI. They joined the BRI, but they got absolutely slated by the United States and the Europeans, and they were forced to pull out of the BRI because under so much Western pressure. So obviously Italy doesn't have the backbone, and they pulled out. But at the end of the day, it's all Italy's loss. End of the day, if they want to lose trade with China, if they want to lose infrastructure projects coming from China, it's up to them. And you just have to look at Italy's economy. It's not been doing great at the moment. So they need China more than China needs them. So if Italy wants to pull out, let them. I'm sure they'll regret it later. So what other questions do you have for me, guys? Let's see. Maloney is a total slave. Yeah, I agree with you. Taiwan says Biden will fall and break his neck. I don't know if you've seen this clip of Biden falling down the stairs a few days ago. I thought he would have broken his neck or something because he fell pretty badly a few days ago. This was, and I don't think he's been seen since, to be honest. This was after the APEC meeting. These APEC meetings that was happening, and Biden went all the way to President Xi to say something. And he was totally off his rockers in the APEC meeting. And after everyone went home, Biden apparently went on the flight, and there's images of him landing on an airport, and he was coming down the stairs, and he fell pretty badly, and I think he's pretty much injured. So haven't heard any other updates regarding that. So I think he's probably bedridden at the moment. So we'll see. Um, So Spider-Man says, what's the significance of the yellow zones in the map? So the yellow zones are basically, okay, let's have a look. Yeah, so the yellow zones, I believe they're probably part of, let me just get the map here. Give me a second. Oh yeah, so the yellow zones are basically, according to Reuters, there are 40 or so countries in yellow who have expressed an interest in joining BRICS. A smaller group of 16 countries have actually applied for membership. And this includes Algeria, Cuba, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Palestine, Vietnam. So basically, the ones in yellow are countries which have applied for BRICS, officially applied. So hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions? Let's see now. Hey, we need critical thinking. How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, I've already answered that. So let's see. Oh yeah, I've got a question by Rolf. So Israel now says killing Palestinians because they oppose the New World Order's LGBTQ agenda. Is that valid reason to genocide people? Obviously, it's not a valid reason to genocide Palestinians. Israel have been saying a lot of things, and I think they're losing the propaganda war because the world is seeing Israel for what it is, and it's just a genocidal state, killing people, women and children. I mean, they are making no effort to reduce civilian deaths, no effort whatsoever. You know, if they actually made an effort, you know, killing, if they want to kill Hamas, fine, you know, go fight them, go send special forces. You know, end of the day, these Hamas guys, they're in an open air prison. They're not going anywhere, right? They all they have to do is go in there. If they're tough enough and be, you know, if they've got the technological power, if they're tough enough, go into Gaza, get these Hamas guys, fight them man to man, and that's it. There's no need to kill women and children. These guys are acting like cowards, bombing women, children, hospitals, schools, blaming Hamas for it, and they're just, you know, 1.5 million people have lost their homes. Where are they going to go? They're stuck in that open air concentration camp. They've got no food, no water, no electricity. Where are they going to go? It's just they are, you know, it's not just LGBTQ agendas here. I think, you know, a few members, a few members of the Israeli government have already made it clear they want this genocide. One guy even said that he wants to nuke Palestine, and since then he's been silenced. He's not been sacked; he's just been silenced. And a few others have been saying it's okay to kill Palestinians because these kids are going to grow up to be Hamas, so it's okay to kill kids. So they've been saying a lot of stuff. So yes, just sick guys. I'm going to go back to Gaza and stuff in a bit. I'll go through all my Twitter feeds and I'll come back to that. So Xi Jinping versus Biden in MMA, who will win? I mean, come on, you've seen that image of Xi Jinping and Biden standing together, and Biden was looking at a plant while Xi Jinping was behind him. I mean, you must have seen that image, right? They're outside a massive door, and Biden's basically facing the other way. Xi Jinping is right behind him, saying, "I'm over here," and Biden's like, I can hear you, but I can't see you." That's them in the ring. Biden's like walking around looking for President Xi. So I think that answered it there for you. Any other questions? Let's see. So Rolf has said another question here. Israeli propaganda is shown to be very fictitious. They killed their own people at the festival, Apache gunship helicopters and tanks. They admitted to this. Yes, of course. Most of the people that got killed were with Apache helicopters and tanks. You've seen the image of all of these tanks and cars who have been burnt. People have been burnt to smithereens. Hamas did not do that. Hamas does not have helicopters and tanks to blow people up. And there's video footage of Hamas going in with machine guns and stuff. But the actual damage, all these cars that have been blown up, and actual damage that was done mainly through helicopters, because these Apache helicopters could not differentiate between civilians and Hamas members, so they just went and killed everyone. And the tanks started blowing everything up, and so they did their own kind of killing, and they're obviously blaming Hamas for it. And yeah, the truth is coming out, and you know they cannot hide the truth for too long. It's all coming out very, very slowly. So Ursula, I love the name, by the way, Ursula. I love that name. Obviously being sarcastic there. Ursula von der Leyen. Yeah, she's got Ursula V there. Okay. Probably sarcastic. Well, yeah, I get your joke. I get it. Argentina leader is just a sellout. Democracy for the highest bidder. Western style democracy is a joke. Western propaganda don't care about their own people, just their wallets. So the Argentina is indeed a sellout. He's going to sell out his country to United States. He's going to, obviously, like I said, he's going to use the dollar. He's also probably going to sell every single natural resource to US companies and businesses. He's going to sell, you know, Argentina's foreign policy to America, kick out all the Chinese. So yeah, he's a sellout, unfortunately, and this is going to cause huge damage to Argentina, and they are not going to recover from this. The amount of damage this guy can cause, and this is really bad news. I mean, Argentina is a suffering country as it is with high inflation and stuff, but this guy's going to completely destroy the country. And good luck to Argentina. Best of luck to them. Democracy is for the highest bidder. Western style democracy is a joke. Well, because of democracy, you got people like this clown in power, right? The clown we have in Argentina. This is a product of democracy, because the whole point of democracy is people can vote. But if somebody messes around with these votes, like if America has the power to change these votes in a computer system, I'm just telling you, obviously there's no proof, I'm just telling you what can be done. And it can be done, right? This is all, everything's computerized these days. So say like America has a program which alters the votes and things like that. They can push their little puppet to win a democracy. And this is what happens all over the world. And this is why America loves democracy, and they push democracy around the world, because if they don't like a leader, they can kick him out in the next election. They can find a puppet and replace him. And that's what democracy does. And you've seen what happens to countries like Pakistan. If they don't like a leader, they get rid of him and they replace him with a puppet. And same with every other country. If you're a country with democracy, you will be most likely, if you're anti-American, you're going to be most likely voted out, and you will most likely get replaced with a puppet. And this is what's happened in Philippines. You can see what's happening in Philippines. You can see what's happening in South Korea. You put this basically pro United States puppet in South Korea. The last guy was not pro. Last guy was pretty, I think Moon. Last guy Moon he was pretty. He wasn't United States. He wasn't too friendly towards the United States. He had a very good relationship with China, and he kept a good balance. But Americans didn't like it, so they put this puppet in power now. And they've done the same with the Philippines. Duterte was going close to China, and they didn't like it, so they replaced him with a American puppet. And look at the trouble he's causing in the South China Sea. They've replaced the leader from Pakistan because they didn't like him. Now they've put a puppet in place. Now they've done the same in Argentina, and they've obviously done the same in Ukraine. And look what's happening to Ukraine. So you look around the world, the countries which embrace democracy, they're the ones that Americans can control, right? So if there's a country which does not like what America does or completely goes against what American does, chances are you're going to get out of power and they'll replace you with a puppet. And this is why America loves democracy. This is why democracy is the best. This is why they push out democracy. And it makes complete sense, right? So this is why democracy is a sham. And the countries which actually have their own sovereignty are not democratic countries. They have their own system. And I'm talking about China, I'm talking about Russia, I'm talking about Iran. I'm talking about, countries with true sovereignty where American does not have its claws in their system. And this is what America really hates. They hate the fact that they cannot control China. They hate the fact they cannot control Russia. They hate the fact they cannot control Iran, because these are not true democracies. These are not countries they can control, and they can't even replace the leadership because these countries are not democratic countries. So America hates that. And if these countries were actually doing well, because look at China, look at Russia, how well they are doing without American democracy. Look at Iran. Sorry guys, my laptop's frozen again. Give me a second. Yeah, so I was just talking about democracy, guys, and you can see how if you're a democracy, you are pretty much screwed as a country, because you basically sold your soul to the devil, and that's what democracy does. So yeah, thanks for asking that question. Hopefully, I answered it for you. Just gonna get one more question, and then I'm gonna carry on with the show. So let's see if there's any other questions. So Rolf has said Ukraine has cancelled elections next year, and is still the greatest democracy. And yeah, again, democracy is great if you are a friend of the United States. If you're a friend of the United States, you can do whatever the hell you want. You can cancel your elections. You can do undemocratic things. You can cause genocide, like Ukraine was causing genocide in the Donbass until Russia stepped in. Israel is doing genocide in Palestine. They can cause all sorts of human rights abuses. But if you're a friend of the US, we'll let you off. You can do whatever the hell you want. But if you're a country that's not a friend of the US, oh my God, human rights abuses. Oh my God, what they're doing is anti-democratic. We're going to place sanctions on that country. We will place sanctions. No, no, we will go to war against that country. They are against human rights. They are killing babies. No, we need to go into that country and give them democracy. This is what we need to do. So this is democracy for you guys. If you're a friend of the United States, you can do whatever the hell you want. If you're not a friend, they will come get you. That's how it works. Okay, guys, so let's move on. I'm going to go through some of the stories. So there's a story about TSMC, and apparently TSMC has spent 77 billion building the factory in Arizona. And the only reason they built that factory in Arizona is because US had agreed to give them subsidies, and to this day they have received zero subsidies, zero, because these subsidies had a lot of clauses attached to it, and TSMC could not really accept these clauses. And these clauses were like things like they need to be completely open with their secrets, like they need to provide all secrets, like uh, they need to share data, share technology. They need to stop any Chinese investments. They need to close all the Chinese factories. So these, big list of things that they wanted these companies to do in order to get those subsidies. TSMC was not able to do. So this is why TSMC have received zero funding as of now, and they have spent 77 billion on a chip factory in Arizona. And anyone that knows Arizona knows that Arizona is probably the worst place to have a chip factory, because one of the major things you need to build chips is water. And Arizona has got plenty of water, right? No, wrong. Arizona has got zero water. Well, it's running out of water anyway. And people are saying, at this rate, within 5 years, Arizona will completely run out of water with the rate that they are going at the moment. So it's not really looking good for Taiwan on TSMC. And not only that, every year that goes by, China is getting closer and closer to having its own EUV machine and to able to build chips which are of EUV standard. And they already released a Huawei phone chip for its 7 nanometers, which has so completely freaked out the United States. All of these sanctions hasn't really stopped China to produce 7 nanometer chips. And I think next year is going to be the year where China becomes very chip proficient. A lot of SMIC factories are going to be coming online next year. So their capacity to build more chips, 7 nanometer chips, is going to greatly increase. I think there's about 3 or 4 chip factories opening up, one in Shanghai, one in Beijing, one in Shenzhen. There's another one they are building as well. I can't remember where exactly, but SMIC will have 4 chip factories online next year. Lots of Chinese chip companies are building new technologies like photonic chips, graphene chips. So there's a lot of chip factories are coming out. There's a company called SMEE. They are building a DUV machine, fully homegrown DUV machine. So ASML machines are not going to be needed starting end of this year. It's all going to be built domestically, and they're not going to be far from building EUV machines next. Once you build the DUV machine, you know it's a great start and a great foundation. And the next step up would be to focus on EUV. And I think once China develops their EUV machine or finds a way to develop chips 5 nanometers and below, it'll be game over, guys, because companies like TSMC, they will bleed money, because if China can develop these chips at a cheaper cost, it's game over for United States, game over for TSMC, because China will be able to sell these cheap chips all over the world, to sell it to Russia, to sell it to Iran, sell it to whichever country wants to buy chips. Because right now, America's been controlling which country buys chips because of these sanctions. So they can't, American companies and TSMC can't sell to Iran or Syria, Cuba. So this is how American companies keep these countries poor, because they put these sanctions on these countries and they keep them poor. They keep them away from technology. So once China is able to build these chips, they can sell it to whoever they want. America's not going to tell them what to do. They can't tell them what to do. And secondly, these chips are going to be very, very cheap. And this is going to drive TSMC out of business and American companies out of business, because these current EUV machines that you buy from ASML, they are hugely expensive. Some of them cost millions. These EUV machines just cost millions. And I think the latest EUV machine is close to 1 billion. I believe the cost is 1 billion, the latest EUV machine coming out of ASML. So imagine all of these machines that you've got gathering dust in TSMC factories, and you can't build chips from them because China has found a way to basically make chips cheaper. They're not paying millions or a billion for brand new machines. They can make their own chips for a fraction of the cost. So all of these companies like TSMC will go bankrupt almost overnight. So them losing 77 billion building these Arizona factories is just going to waste more money. They are not looking long term here. I think this is really bad news. So let's move on, guys. So you have all these Arab leaders coming to China, and they're here to discuss Palestine and Gaza and Israel, and they're having some discussions at the moment to see what they can do. Obviously, I think what I think they should do, I mean, this is just my opinion. I think they should just start, placing sanctions on Israel. This is the only way they will stop. Hit them where it hurts. If all of these countries get together and just start placing sanctions on Israel, they will have to stop, because the only reason Israel is going ahead doing what he's doing is because countries are letting Israel getting away with it. The UN is not doing anything, and other countries, they can't really do anything because obviously USA is supporting Israel and stuff, and they got 3 or 4 aircraft carriers off the coast of Israel. So it's very difficult for other countries to do anything at the moment. But I think this is a start. So let's see what discussions come out of this. Hopefully there's some constructive actions that take place. But we'll see. We'll see, guys. So we've seen that. So this is the guy. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this story. This story is basically a ship, an Israeli ship that got hijacked by the Yemeni or the Houthis from Yemen, and this is an Israeli ship. And apparently, most of the goods in this Israeli ship were military items, military cars, and stuff like that. And this was heading to Israel, I believe. And so they managed to catch it and take it. So if all the Middle East countries did the same thing as what Yemen is doing, Israel will have no choice but to stop, because they cannot really go on without any oil or any goods, because Israel's economy is based on oil. If all the Muslim countries got together and said, "Oh, we're not going to sell Israel any oil or gas, we're going to blockade any Israeli ships from going through the Suez Canal," or things like that. If they do that, then Israel will lose so much money in its economy. They'll have no choice but to stop. But what Yemen is doing, it's they're showing the way compared to what the Muslim countries are doing. So Angelina Jolie is basically one of the few celebrities coming out to support the Palestinians, which is good. And this one's quite funny, guys. This is Benjamin Netanyahu, and he's basically talking along the same lines as Zelensky. And do you remember when Zelensky was using Russia invading Ukraine as an excuse? He said, after Ukraine, Europe will be next, Baltic countries will be next, America will be next. That's what Zelensky used to kind of preach. Now Netanyahu is saying the same thing. He said, after Israel, Hamas will invade USA, Hamas will invade Europe. That's what he says. Listen to this. It's crazy. He's basically singing the same hymn tune.
Against the forces of barbarism. And if barbarism wins in our part of the world, Europe will be next and America will be next. Because the axis of terror of Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis and their other minions will imperil the Middle East and then spread their barbarism to the entire world. Israel is fighting our war, but it's also fighting America's war. It's fighting your war, and our victory will be your victory.
So this is exactly what the Zelensky was preaching during the Ukrainian war, and they're saying the same thing. Like, it's almost like they're reading from the same book, and it's so plain and obvious to see how these countries behave and the things they say. So, and they're saying it from the same book. It's exactly the same thing. I don't know if you've seen this video. Basically, this video is basically Hamas attacking tanks, and so I was just saying that how much these missiles cost a few $100s to make, and all of them are homemade, and they are destroying tanks worth millions of dollars here. I mean, one Merkava tank, Israeli Merkava tank, costs about 3 million, I believe, brand new one. And these are a couple of hundred homemade rockets Hamas builds, taking out $1 million tank or a couple of $1 million tank, $3 million. In terms of the economy, who's winning end of the day? End of the day is Israel, which is losing more. Hamas, yeah, they might be losing people. They're also losing a lot of Israeli soldiers as well. These TikToks from the sky, because I believe Israel does not have much faith in its land forces, and you can see why. And so this is why they're dropping bombs from the sky, because it's safer for them, because they are not confident of winning a ground war, and they're not winning. I mean, look at the end of this video where they are literally taking Israeli soldiers, killing them, taking their equipment, and you can see this video where there's you can see this video where there's, you know, ammunition to be found. You can see like this is obviously one of those things you put in the eye for rifles, and you can see all of this ammunition they captured from the Israelis. All of this, obviously, this will go to all the freedom fighters. They'll have all the latest gear, and more of them will basically be able to fight the Israelis. So yeah, it's not really a done deal, Israel winning this war, by the way. They could still lose. It really does depend on how much they lose, because if they start losing a hell of a lot of tanks, they cannot sustain this war in terms of the economy. If you're losing 3 million per tank and you lose 100 tanks, right? I mean, everything adds up end of the day. And if you're losing thousands of soldiers, and these body bags come back home, and the longer this war goes on, the more international pressure that Israel's going to get to stop its barbarism, its genocide from the international community. So Israel could really like lose this war badly. But we'll see what happens. But as long as Israel gets money from the United States, I think they should be fine. But money coming from the United States is not unlimited. You can see they've run out of money for Ukraine. They're not giving any more money to Ukraine anymore. So it's not something that's unlimited. That money is gonna stop sometime in the future. You know, America cannot afford to keep giving out money to these countries, starting wars. So we'll see how things go. So this is really funny, guys. This is basically Joseph Borrell in Al Jazeera. The double standards is plain and for the world to see, and you can see what he says. You know, basically, this reporter asks him, "Is Hamas a terrorist organization? Do they do war crimes?" And Joseph Borrell says, "Yes, of course they're doing war crimes." And the same reporter asked him, "Is Israel doing war crimes?" And Mr. Borrell says, "Oh, I'm not a lawyer," and he tries to avoid the question. It's so funny. Listen to this.
هل موقف الاتحاد الأوروبي أن ما قامت به في 7 أكتوبر جرائم حرب؟
Yes.
نعم،
We consider that a war
نحن
crime.
نعتبر ذلك جرائم حرب، لأنه قتل المدنيين بشكل واضح من دون أي سبب، قتلهم فقط لأنهم كانوا هناك، ليس لسبب آخر.
هل تعتبرون أن ما تقوم به إسرائيل هو جرائم حرب؟
But I am not a lawyer. But I am not a lawyer.
Did you see the double standards here, right? So when he asks him about is Hamas doing war crimes, he's like, yeah, they're doing war crimes. And when he asks him if Israel is doing the war crimes, he said, no, I'm not a lawyer. So he's quick to judge Hamas, but when it comes to Israel, I'm not a lawyer, and that's his basically answer to it. And you can see with his grin here, this is a devilish grin. You know that he's not being truthful and sincere. And the way he said, you know, you can see by his face, this guy's a total liar, and shameful, guys, shameful. So this is the Argentinian guy, the crazy guy. Yeah. So there's an Indian guy who's reporting on the Financial Times. According to him, he says China is about to collapse again. so, so yeah, some of these guys. He's been called the Indian Gordon Chang, by the way. Some of these guys just never stop. So this is the Argentinian guy flying the Israeli flag. So he's a perfect guy for Israel at the moment and United States. And that's him celebrating his win. Seriously, he's a bigger entertainer than Zelensky. So these are the cars I was talking about. Can you see all of these cars absolutely destroyed? And they were destroyed with the Apache helicopters and tanks. Hamas did not do this. They do not have the capacity to destroy this many cars. You know, the only way these can be destroyed in this particular manner are using helicopters, and they have admitted it. They have admitted that most of these killings were done by helicopters and tanks. Oh, this is China, by the way, Heaven's Gate. So, definitely beautiful. There's more footage of tanks being destroyed. You can see they're fighting from window to window, destroying these tanks in point blank range. And obviously one rocket launcher cannot take out a tank, but I believe maybe 2 or 3 direct hits might do. You know, some of them will be extremely kind of maybe disabled as well. And there was a Hamas member who made a speech today, and he said that a lot of tanks are being damaged and disabled, not completely destroyed. And sometimes the Israelis come to take the tank away, but if they cannot take it away, they basically call for an airstrike. And these airstrikes basically destroy the tanks completely. And because they do not want these tanks to go into enemy hands, so that's what they do. If the Israelis can retrieve the tanks, they will do it. But if they cannot, they will destroy it in airstrikes. And that's what America did as well during the Iraq War. But yeah, have a look at this video. It's on Twitter. But yeah, these guys who just using a couple of rocket launchers made with homemade explosives, just taking out $1 million tanks. And these tanks are completely unguarded. You can see like there's no Israeli soldiers. And this is a tactic they use as well. Can you see he's basically putting an explosive next to a tank? And what they do is they fire at the tank from a distance using another RPG. So it basically gives double damage. So if they hit a tank with another explosive, obviously the explosive that they fitted inside the tank will also explode as well, and causing an extra explosion. You can see there as an example. And you can notice that these tanks are not defended, so you don't get Israeli soldiers out in the streets defending these tanks. So these tanks are basically sitting ducks, basically, and Israeli soldiers are too afraid to basically come out and fight street to street. You know, this kind of urban warfare is not what the Israeli army is good at. Maybe they were good at it once upon a time, but not anymore. Nowadays, it's just these soldiers are more interested in doing TikTok videos than going out and fighting street to street. You know, these Hamas members, they got nothing to lose, right? These guys have lost their families, they've lost their homes. So these guys, they don't care if they die, right? But the Israeli soldiers definitely care if they die or not. You know, these guys, they have a life. They want to go back home. They want to make TikTok videos. They want to go out partying. You know, but these Hamas members, they don't care if they live or die, because at the end of the day, they've lost their families, they've lost their livelihoods. These guys have come to their country to invade them, so they've got nothing to lose. They'll basically go all out. So what other stories do I have? Anything else? No, that's it, guys. That's it. I think that's enough for today. Do you guys have any questions for me? So let's have a final round of questions, and we can call it a night. Remember, any questions, just put Q in front of your questions, and I'll be able to answer it, because you know, you can pick it out. So So Spider-Man says PAL freedom fighters equals Viet Cong 2.0. Yeah, it's true, but Vietnam was completely different because Vietnam was had a border with China. So China was supplying south is controlled by Egypt, and Egypt is friendly with Israel, so that border is closed. So yes, Hamas is basically stuck. There's no open borders. There's no weapons coming in from other countries. There's no help coming in. The only people helping Hamas are Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is from the north. However, Hezbollah cannot actively give weapons to Hamas because there's no way of giving weapons to Hamas. Gaza is completely blockaded from every single direction. So the only choice Hamas has got is to build its own weapons, and that's what they're doing, really. But obviously, they cannot go on forever. I think it really does depend how long this war goes on for and what Israel's objectives are. Israel can win this war if they continue to grind. Israel will lose a lot of equipment. They will lose a lot of people. If America continues to fund Israel's war machine, Israel could destroy Hamas in the end, and they could occupy all of Gaza in the end. It really does depend on how much money UK and rest of Europe and America gives to Israel, how much support they can give. And also depends how long this war takes, because the longer it takes, the more pressure Israel will be under from the international community. And so it depends on a lot of factors. And money is the main issue, because Israel is losing a lot of money. I think up to 250 million a day I've seen quoted in some papers. Could be more. It really does depend. Like I said, each tank is 3 million, and so if each tank is taken out, there's 3 million down the drain. They're going to have to replace those tanks with new tanks, and they're going to have to pay more money. So yeah, it's not plain and easy like everyone else makes it out to be. There's still a long way to go. And this war could spread as well to other countries like Lebanon and Syria, Iran. So things could escalate, Yemen even. So yeah, we'll see how things go. What are the questions? Let's see now. So Hung Chua says Arab Muslim countries are in China to assist with the ceasefire and potential peace talk. Yeah, I've already discussed that. So let's see what actions come out of it. Hopefully there's some good news, but we'll see. We'll see what actions come out of it. Christine says USA will give Israel whatever Israel tells them to give. Yeah, possibly, but end of the day, Biden is coming to election year in 2024, and if this war goes on till 2024, this is going to be looking bad for Biden because he relies a lot on the Arab Muslim count in United States, and there is a huge number of Arabs and Muslims in United States, and this is going to severely impact Biden's election. So if this war carries on in 2024, I think America will give a lot of pressure to Israel, saying, you got to stop because our election is very important, and we need to stop this now, and or we're just going to stop funding you, funding your project. So yeah, I mean, we're very close to election year, so things can change very quickly. Any other questions, guys? So this question from David Moss: what would you think will happen to Argentina now they choose not to join the BRICS? I've already answered that earlier on in the channel, so you're welcome to go back to what I said. So you can replay the video once it's finished. So I answer it there. It's a very long answer, so I don't want to go through it all again. So you're welcome to check it later on. And that's it, guys. I don't really have. Oh, I gotta speak about this. I had a video here on Twitter, a very cool video, and basically this video is about this Jewish guy living in China, and he was getting harassed by Chinese netizens, and they were telling him to go back to Israel because he was basically promoting genocide and stuff. And this is an Israeli living in China at the time, and he was promoting genocide. And so the Chinese netizens were telling him to leave China, and what you guys are doing is genocide. And he replied saying that, end of the day, he was threatening the Chinese. He was saying, end of the day, I'm here for an important job in China. My stamp is basically allows China to sell its kosher meat to Europe and kosher meat to Israel and all the Jewish communities around the world. And it's my stamp that does that. So if you ask me to leave China, then you will not be able to sell any kosher meat around the world and to all the other Jews. And he was saying that with a big smile in his face. So obviously he was like threatening China and saying, basically you can't kick me out because you need me. And I can't find the clip, guys, but it is here somewhere. And it's absolutely, it's absolutely kind of sickening, that clip, but I can't find it. But I've kind of explained it to you anyway. Okay, so I think that's it for the questions, guys. I can't see any other questions. Just looking at. So the last question is, de-dollarization is the only way to stop the US aggression unless the useless green toilet paper. Correct. So de-dollarization is the only way to stop the US aggression and sanctions. Unfortunately, so things are not looking good. But that's it, guys. I've talked for a bit, so going to call it quits. Thanks all for listening, and don't forget to join me again very soon. And thanks for taking your time out to listen to me and the show. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. So take care, guys, and take care for now, and I'll see you soon. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.